Welcome to a relaxful new episode of Grin Reviews. This episode is going to be a little bit more laid back than normal, so put up your feet, pour yourself a cool drink, and get ready to unwind as we take a look at Fishing Derby for the Atari 2600.
Now, it may not surprise many of you to learn that I'm not exactly the biggest fisherman. You see, two of my biggest loves are being indoors and electricity, and fish are more often than not found outdoors and in water, which is basically electricity's biggest nemesis. This said, the few times I have actually in fact found myself fishing, I did in truth thoroughly enjoy it. The relaxing nature of the sport exposes you to actual nature, which naturally gives you a break from the fast-paced nature of modern-day life. And yes, before you call me out on it, I'm well aware of the contradiction I just spoke. While the statement is rather paradoxic, I cannot help but claim that the best and worst thing about fishing is being outside and a complete lack of technology. So of course the concept of fishing inside through the use of technology immediately intrigued me, as it both removes the best and worst elements of fishing. As you can see on the screen right now, the game in question, Fishing Derby, places you on a pier across from a peer who is also sitting on a pier. The game is made by the company Activision, which is the same company that brought us River Raid, so I was not surprised to find and pretty much half expected the graphics to be absolutely gorgeous. As you can see in the water, there are 6 fish that are swimming around and a shark who too is also swimming around. The object of the game is to catch more fish than your opponent, who is also trying to catch fish. You do this, as you might well expect, by utilizing your fishing rod, because unfortunately in this game there are no spear guns, which probably would have been pretty darn cool, added to the excitement of the game and made short work of the shark. And before any animal activists get angry at me, please remember that I'm talking about killing an electronic shark with an electronic spear gun electronically. No animals were harmed in the making of this sentence. The deeper the depths the fish come from, the longer and more difficult it is to get them, and as you might well expect because of this, the more points they pay out. You might imagine that this is sort of a risk and reward thing going on, and I think that was the intention, but unfortunately, while it does add a lot of reward, it doesn't really add much risk, and because of how easy it is to get the fish from the bottom, you might as well just always get the fish from the bottom, and if you do so, you're pretty much always going to win the game regardless of what difficulty setting you're on. They could have perhaps improved the risk part of the risk and reward system of this game rather fantastically if they had just added a second shark that randomly swims across the midsection of the screen, making it actually a little bit more risky to go for the bottom fish. But with that not included, there's not really any tension in the game at all. Despite this, as I mentioned, the title of the game is in fact Fishing Derby, and your peer across from the pier is also competing against you, and the first person to get to 99 points wins the game. And I think this is one of the many issues with this game. You see, the pacing and gameplay of the game actually stands in stark contradiction to the title of the game and the actual goal of the game. The gameplay is itself slow-paced with no risk and very little control over the actual controls. Sure, you actually control the hook and the fishing line, but half the time the fish appear to have a mind of their own, and sometimes you're just sitting there like an idiot as the fish doesn't want to take the bait. And then even when the fish does take the bait, half the time it's very difficult to reel it in with the controls seeming unresponsive. Despite all this, there is a point system and you're sitting directly across from your opponent who you're supposedly supposed to be trying to beat. Despite this, however, it never feels like if you try harder, you'll do better. It's sort of like if you had to race someone, but both of you had to walk slowly, wear only one shoe, and be completely blindfolded. The competition's there, but neither of you are really competing. On the other hand, though, the knowledge that the competition is there and that you are in fact supposed to be competing makes it so that you cannot completely relax while playing this game. As such, rather unfortunately, this game both fails in the fishing department and the derby department, because the derby department, aka the competition of this game, is executed so poorly that it doesn't really feel like you can properly compete. But the knowledge you're supposed to be competing ruins the fishing part of the game because you cannot relax, which is my favorite thing to do while fishing. As such, because this game so spectacularly fails to simulate fishing and competition, I can unfortunately not encourage you to play it. I suppose if you really do have your heart set on a fishing simulator, you can set the game to 2-player and sort of just casually fish while the other player doesn't do anything. But if you have your heart set on a fishing derby as this game advertises, it's unfortunately going to let you down. So with all of this said and done, if you are looking for a fun game made by Activision to play this evening set above water, head down to your local video store and pick up a copy of River Raid for the Atari 2600. It's sort of like Fishing Derby. They both have water,